What's going on, everyone? So a big thing now that the NBA draft is over, a lot of questions of like, why didn't the Lakers go and land a center, right? There were several centers, even in undrafted free agency, right? Lakers didn't land any of them, right? They didn't draft a center. Why didn't the Lakers get a center? They got two forwards instead. Well, big reason for that. One, Lakers are going to trade for a center, right? Like, it's something that we've talked about very heavily. Lakers are very active in trading for a center. And even if they don't, like, let's say that they don't trade for a center, then they're just going to go get a guy like a Clint Capella and Brook Lopez anyway. They're going to solve their center position with more ready now players. Even if the Lakers were to draft a center, right? Amari Williams, let's use him, or Rocco, right? He went undrafted, right? Let's say that they got a guy undrafted, or they got a guy, with the draft pick, right? No matter what, that guy at best is your third center, or is probably not playing at all next year. Because, again, Lakers are in win now mode. They want to win a championship now. So it's not like they're going to go get a guy and that guy's going to be your starter day one right out the gate, right? They got two guys that are perimeter wings that, yes, aren't big men, but both of those guys solve major needs, right? With athleticism and perimeter defense and shooting and Dixon's case and all that. But also, two guys that can help now. Two guys that give the Lakers ready rotation players over an 82-game season. Also gives two guys that if the Lakers go trade for a center, you're going to need to replace. Like, if the Lakers trade for a Nick Claxton, right, you're probably trading Rui Hachimura in that deal. Right? It's possible Lakers end up trading Jared Vanderbilt, right? It's possible that they end up losing Dorian Finney-Smith. You kind of go down the list of some of these guys, and it's like, it is very possible that the Lakers end up losing two or three kind of wings out on the perimeter. Yes, they probably get one in like an Andrew Wiggins or something like that, but you need more, right? You're going to need more than just one or two wings. And a guy in an Eric Dixon. I don't know where I got Dickinson. Eric Dixon and a Thero are two guys that can come in, and you got kind of this Rui and Vando replacement, which I think is kind of interesting as well. And we'll see how that plays out. But I'm okay with the Lakers going this route. Right? You weren't going to get a center in this draft that was going to be an immediate impact guy, that's the guy that we're going to have on the roster that's going to be, like, yeah, it would have been a project. It would have been a long-term play. You still would have had to be getting a Clint Capella or trading for, like, nothing would have changed if you would have drafted a center, right? But here's the other thing, too. They have Christian Koloko. They have Trey Jemison. They have several guys already that they can look to as their development bigs. Even Jackson Hayes could stick around if you wanted to, right? That's a real possibility. I mean, Jackson Hayes, there were reports that he wasn't satisfied with his role. He wasn't happy with his role. But again, he also came out publicly and said, like, hey, no, like, that's just all noise. Like, he didn't rule out the possibility of staying with the Lakers. So again, you already have your development bigs. You already have your guys that you're working on to be your third big on the team. You need those clear-cut first and second options at the center position. You need a clear-cut starter, and you need a guy that, in a pinch, can come off the bench or be a backup. Also, Dixon is a guy that could play at center position, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy that, again, is 6'8", 6'9" almost. He's just shy of 6'9". He's 6'8" and 7 3/4, right? So he's basically 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan that can slot in, play 3 through 5 for you, right? And give you some size, some length, some athleticism, all of that, right? Again, that's not ideal, but the Lakers also like to play small ball, right? Lakers like to go out there, and they probably still will, because there are teams where you're going to want to match, right? Why did Indiana give OKC so much trouble? Because they went small and matched them small, but also had an Obi Toppin and a Pascal Siakam who, yes, aren't centers, but they're big, versatile, sizable forwards. Well, guess what Eric Dixon is? Guess what, a Thero is, right? Like, these guys are big, versatile, sizable forwards. Both guys, 6'8", 6'9", and in Dixon's case, like, these are all guys that I do think can come in, play a role, have an impact. Where any center you got maybe could have had an impact, right? Even if they were able to get Cock Brandon, right? Like, chances are he probably wasn't even going to be in the rotation. Maybe as, your third big. But again, you got Koloko, you got Trey Jemison, you got these guys on your roster, which, by the way, Trey Jemison is on a two-way. And then Christian Koloko is a restricted free agent. So Lakers are probably keeping him and bringing him onto the main roster. So Lakers are probably going to have him be your third big. Christian Koloko is probably going to be your third big man. And then, of course, based on the reports, the Lakers want a veteran backup. So they want to get a clear-cut starter. They want a more veteran backup. And then you'll probably have your third big be Christian Koloko, is my guess. So they'll probably go get that Nick Claxton, whatever, Daniel Gafford, Walker Kessler. I'm still speaking it into existence. All right, go get somebody like that, and then go get a Clint Capella or Brook Lopez or somebody like that off the bench as a backup, and then you have Christian Koloko as your third big. So on a regular basis, we'll just use Nick Claxton as an example. Nick Claxton is your starter. He's the guy that's doing the work on a nightly basis with, say, Brook Lopez as your backup. Brook Lopez on 15 to 20 minute a night thing, and then Nick Claxton gets the night off, so Brook Lopez steps in and he plays as your starter, and then Christian Koloko's coming in. Also, Christian Koloko can kind of give you another look and whatnot, right? So again, I'm okay, and I talked very heavily about this, right? Like the Lakers, I didn't necessarily expect to draft a center, and I even said that I don't think that they should. I think that they should go get perimeter help. They should go get wing depth, because that's a lot harder to get in this league than a center. There are right now going to be an abundance of centers available. I mean, Portland might have 3 of them available, right? And that's just them. Phoenix might have 2 available, right? So again, I'm not, the last position that I'm worried about is the center position. And I don't believe the Lakers, and I've talked about this very heavily, I don't believe the Lakers need some star-studded center. I would love to have a Mark Williams, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's a necessity. The Lakers need a center that does 3 things. You need a center that rebounds, protects the rim, and can run the floor and be that lob threat for Luka Doncic. If your center does those 3 things, that's literally all you need. Because if you were to get a Mark Williams, right, he's at best your 4th option. At best is your 4th option. Maybe when LeBron retires and if the Lakers end up trading Austin Reeves, maybe now he becomes your 2nd or 3rd option. But worry about that later on down the road if you need a skilled big, right? Do that, 3 or 4 years from now when LeBron's retired and, or however long, you never know with LeBron. But again, you have at least a couple years before LeBron. And I've even said, I don't mind a stopgap year. If you told me the Lakers just got Clint Capella and Brook Lopez as their center rotation this year, I'm fine with that. I don't want them to do that and then just sit on their hands. That's my fear, is that they do that and they don't do anything else. But if you told me they go and trade for an Andrew Wiggins and then a Terrence Mann, somebody like that, and then sign Clint Capella and Brook Lopez as their backup centers, that's perfect. I'm fine with that. And then you still have Eric Dixon. You still have Thero, right? You have all these guys that can come in and play a role and gives you depth over an 82-game season. And then you're tightening all that up come playoff time and shrinking that down to, your 7 or 8 man rotation. Perfect. Right? Can you go get, DeAnthony Melton and a Gary Harris also on vet minimum deals to fill out the roster? Because you're probably trading several guys, right? That's perfect. Right? So I look at this and I look at the Lakers and I'm I don't think you need this super skilled big man, right? Because that guy's not going to get the opportunities, right? Mark Williams and all his offensive, rapport, right? I don't think he's going to get the opportunities on the Lakers to be able to do all that. It'd be nice. I wouldn't hate it, right? It would be a luxury, but I think it's more of icing on the cake rather than the main need, right? I don't think it's something that, the Lakers have to get immediately and you have to have this super skilled big that you can dump the ball down to and he can go to work and do X, Y, and Z. I don't think you need that if you're the Lakers. I don't. I really don't. I think the Lakers just simply need a guy that can slot in, block shots, be a rim deterrent, be that lob threat, floor runner, right? Better discipline than a Jackson Hayes, ideally, hopefully bigger than Jackson Hayes, unless it is a Nick Claxton. And that's only because Nick Claxton is just so versatile defensively, right? But even then, I think you need to get a big body center as a backup for, those matchups, right? Against the Jokic matchup and whatnot. But I think the Lakers made the right decisions, right? I talked about this very heavily for like a month, like leading into the draft. I talked about how I think the Lakers should go and draft forwards. I broke down a couple centers and stuff like that because you never know. There's possibilities. But even in those videos, I said, I don't know if the Lakers should go draft a center. I think that they should draft a forward. They should get a 3-and-D wing, right? Because those are so much harder to come by and harder to trade for, right? Than a center, right? Especially right now. Again, there was like 5 guys available at least before the draft, and there's probably another 5 or 6 guys available now. Like there might be an abundance of centers, right? Lakers might be able to trade for multiple centers at this point, right? So again, we'll see. I mean, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility Lakers go trade for like a Daniel Gafford and a Nick Richards, right? And then just use their free agency signings on like I said, Melton and like a Harris or something like that, and boom, there you go, right? So these are all things to kind of keep in mind, but anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Also, it's been enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.